Bless you, Chris.
Oh, my name is Chris Handy. I'm here with Crux, and I'm happy to be at this tech event. This is amazing. How is everyone doing today? Could you all do me a favor? If you're in the chat, drop a note, and would you just let me know where you're dialing in from? Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are really fun and important. I'd love to get a sense of who else is in the audience. But yeah, just drop a note in the chat if you get a chance. This will be a great chance for us to get acquainted. Of course, my name is Chris Handy. I'm here with Crux, and we are here to talk about managing data quality when it's outside of your control. And I want to make sure that you will get the most value. So definitely drop a note here in chat. Okay. I'm seeing John from Raleigh. I'm seeing Rudy from Austin. I'm seeing Sergio from Mexico City. Seeing Wayne from New York City. Teddy is here. I know she's in Florida. That's fantastic. This is fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. You all are awesome. Hey, I'm seeing someone coming from Switzerland. Uh, my name is Chris Handy. I am the director of product marketing at Crux, and I couldn't be more excited to be here with this crew. I know that Eckerson Group is putting together some amazing stuff, and you all are a part of it. So a little bit about Crux, and we're going to dig into the content. We're focused specifically on the problems that external data provides. Gives us. It's a wonderful gift that external data and third-party data sources give us, and a lot of that is inconsistencies, and we'll talk a little bit about how we do that throughout. But we've been around since 2017, specifically focused on this problem of external data. We've got some amazing investors. We've got 50,000 active pipelines helping people get their external data where they want it to be, into their data lake or into their cloud or wherever they want it to be. And we've got some 260 plus pre-built integrations. So there's a lot of data sets out there that a lot of folks want access to that we've already done. We've already normalized and gotten all of that stuff together. And really, the reason that we're here and the reason we're talking about all this stuff is because Crux is here to help with this external data gauntlet. Think about any file that you've gotten. It might be from a relative, and it's an address list, right? You might have someone who puts the address all in one row or cell in Excel and sends that over to you. When really what you need is the zip code out in its own place, and you need first name separated from last name just to make it work. Everyone's got a different way of doing it. It's always going to be a mess depending depending on what's going on. And then you have to take those square pegs and put them into your round hole, right? So that's what you're doing, but you're having to do it on the scale of all of these different sources that you're coming from. And while these suppliers are doing great work, they're not all working together and standardizing a format. So it makes it hard on data engineers. That's why they spend 70% of their time on preparation and plumbing, which is a ratio we're looking to flip, right? So, and a lot of our customers are flipping that ratio by taking their sources, putting it through the Crux external data platform and our 24/7 operations team, so we can allow your data engineers to get more sleep and scale what they do, and then get it where you need it to be, right? In your data cloud, in your data lake, right? And of course, we've got some amazing customers, some heavy hitters here. These are folks that put their trust in us, and we're really lucky to have them. So external data, okay, of course, it's the lifeblood of great decision making. We know that, right? And as we look at things that are in the news, I'm sure people who are on this call have noticed that uh, AI and machine learning are accelerating the rate of change like never before. If you look on Twitter, you're going to see all these people posting about Chat GPT, right? Artificial intelligence is changing the world faster than we can keep up, right? And we as data professionals need to figure out how are we going to use all of that and how can we inform our strategy and our algorithms. Well, they're hungry and they need to be fed. And our internal data alone doesn't necessarily cut it. And of course, if you're bringing in third party data from other sources, it's all going to be completely different, right? If you don't take steps to make sure that it is of the right quality up front before it hits your data lake, then it's that straight up garbage in, garbage out problem that we've all dealt with for so long, right? Some specifics here, talking about garbage in, garbage out, and what people are doing when they're spending 70% of their time managing the preparation and plumbing. Well, what is all of that? Well, it's the licensing and usage rights for this data. It's trialing the data. Is this even something we want? And once we identify that it might be something we want, how do we get it in and start to give it a test and see if it's something we want to integrate in the rest of our it's sourcing and finding new areas where we want to explore some data that can be helpful to us. And then, of course, the lack of standardization we've already covered. Now, there is a major skills gap between where your team may be and where they need to be to manage the sheer volume necessary to inform our strategies and to just get up to speed on how to tackle this problem. And we know that a lot of these things have been solved in other industries, right? Automation has been solved in a lot of industries. There's a lot of things that we can automate, right? What can we automate, right? This external data problem is it's a special kind of hard because of all the things that we've spoken about so far. And then this inconsistent data quality across all those sources is something that we should be tackling. And just to hammer this home even one more time, right? That external data gauntlet that you're having to run, this is maybe a really clean version of that. All of the things that we have to do up to this point to get to insights. Well, how can we figure that out? And how can we flip this ratio from 80% on the wrong things to 80% on the right things? Well, in order to be able to do that, we need to give our data science teams and data analyst teams great data products to get from raw data to insights faster. Now, I'm not one to read slides, but I think it's really important to get this just right. We need, and say it with me, we need to deliver data scientists and analysts great data products. Underline that when you shout it out from your desk to get from raw data to insights faster. Now, what, you may ask me, is a great data product? Well, I happen to have a few additional bullets to reveal to you here. What I would like to do as I take a sip of water, is to ask you, what do you look for in a great data product? Use the chat, right? All those folks who are from all over the world who've already raised their hand and said, "Hey, I'm here." Drop me a note. What do you look for in a great data product? This is an informal poll right here mid presentation. I want to know what you're thinking. All right. And as you enter in your answers, I'll take a sip of water and then we'll dig in. So let's look at discoverability. Now, there may be an area of your team that has access to data sets that they're using or that they've made available, but then there's a silo that's been erected. Other members of your team and other teams in your organization are not aware that that exists. So, how can we understand what we have? If I'm a data scientist and I'm looking to inform my strategic decision making, I need to know what's available, right? So one criteria is it discoverable? Do we know that it's there? I'm seeing some really good stuff in the chat here. Integrity, completeness, timeliness. I think you might find some of these things relevant here, Wayne. Uh, is it relevant? Is what we have access to what we need in order to inform our strategy? This is it's an important point. It might seem like it's table stakes, but a lot of times we have data sets that we've got access to or we've paid for access to that are no longer relevant, or they're not relevant for this particular use case. So there may be someone in your organization that's a data steward that is looking after all of these things, right? You want to loop them into this conversation. How can we better present and better contextualize these data sets and these data products, really, and manage them like a product? There's a reason we use that word, a great data product, right? These are things we have access to. This is data, it's real, it's live, but is it a good product for our data science team, our data analysts? Well, it needs to be discoverable, it needs to be relevant, it also needs to be usable. We know that based on all the different suppliers and all the different ways that they have to transmit information, that it's not going to be usable in its immediate format. And a lot of that is what this 70%, 80% of the time is spent on. It's just prepping it to be somewhat coherent and usable in your system. Now, taken alone, if your only job is to look at these sources and say, hey, okay, this is a data set, I can look at this specifically. But if you need to get it in and mix it in with your internal data or just get it into your data lake so that you can start chopping it up, it needs to be ready to go. It needs to be usable. And it also needs to be reliable. So from a quality standpoint, I'm sure we've all heard our data engineering team talk about schema changes. Schema changes and schema breaking is it's a plague in our industry. It's something that just happens. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. When will it happen? When will this mission critical data source that's a data product that we've got piping into our data lake to inform real-time decision making, when will that break? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen multiple times per year. It might be a dropped column. It might be a renamed header. It might be incomplete or missing or generally incorrect information. These mistakes happen. We're all human. All of every time I type a Slack message to my colleagues, I just try and ship it first, and then I go back and I edit the text that I've misspelled because I value speed over accuracy in that context. We can't roll that way when it comes to getting external data where we need it to be in order to inform our strategic decision making. So it needs to be reliable, and we need to get those quality checks as close to the source as we possibly can so that we can measure its accuracy. Is it accurate? Is this what we need? Is this what we need? Is it up to date? Does this look right? Does it pass the sniff test? Right. These are things that we really need to consider. And of course, timeliness. I like that Wayne had that in his answer in the chat. I mean, timeliness is really important. If you are feeding an algorithm and you're making, let's say, trading decisions, right? Financial services firm rely on Crux every day for their strategic decision making, hedge funds, that those kind of places, and it needs to be up to date and quick, right? These things are really important. And of course, putting it all together, is it fit for purpose? Is this in a format and ready to go for what we need it to be? There's so much that goes into this checklist that we've built that I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot real quick or pull out your phone and take a photo of this, right? Just put your phone up here, take a photo, because this is one of those ones where if we were in a live presentation, you would want to be able to bookmark this because this serves as an internal checklist for your team. Important stuff. Now, how does Crux fit into all of this? Well, we want to help you standardize and verify quality before we do anything else, right? You need to be as close to the source as possible. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Don't have to use Crux. You can have your data engineering team really focused on that. But of course, we're there to help when it comes to that. But one of the major issues and one of the major things that we point people towards is anomaly detection. And we've built some automation for this. But one of the ways to zero in on making sure that this particular data product is where it needs to be and it's still relevant, it's still usable, it's still fit for purpose, is looking for these big changes. This is something that we've been able to automate. It's something that required a lot of effort for us to stand up internally, and we've made that technology available to our customers. But in a nutshell, it's just how far off are we, right? How do we know where to spend our time? I want to take a moment just to honor the message in the chat here from John. He learned about the CRAP test, CRAAP, currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. I love that. I may have to steal that, John. I'm going to contact you to license that out because it's an amazing framework. Good job. A focus on quality is going to help your data scientists focus on the great data products and focus on great strategic decision making. That is really important. A little bit about Crux. Again, we get your stuff where it needs to be. We handle a lot of stuff along the way. And that, my friends, is a big overview over what we do. But what I wanted to do is just dig in to any questions, comments along the way that may have come up for you. These are really important topics. And as I want to go, I want to actually go back to this checklist slide. Have you considered these things? Obviously, John's got his test. Have you considered these things for your company? How are you solving these problems today? And I really would love for this to be interactive. If you in the audience there are solving this today manually, if you found a way to automate some of these things, if you decided just to forget it, right? We're going to focus on our internal quality first. I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience. When we look at external data products, we look at this checklist, and this is what we use with our customers, and this is what our internal QA team uh, goes and they use this checklist as well. Are all of these things true, right? If you have your own internal data engineering team, do they have a quality assurance checklist? Is it something like this that you could use? Are there other factors that we haven't considered here? I was personally, just to lead the discussion a bit, I was personally at the Forrester Data Strategy and Insights conference recently, and I spoke with one of their analysts. And one of the things that he said was really interesting to me. He said, he said, Chris, if you get the quality assurance testing as close to the source as possible, ideally before it gets into your data lake or before it gets into your Snowflake or wherever you happen to keep it. If you do it as close to the source as possible, you're going to be in really good shape. Those who get it in their system and then they sort of retrofit quality assurance and quality metrics and all those tests we need to make on our data, you're going to end up getting in trouble. You're going to get in trouble pretty fast. um, Obviously this is something that is near and dear to my heart, something we've seen day in and day out. I think the industry is starting to recognize getting quality metrics as close to the source as we possibly can. And so that's something that we are focused here on at Crux and just at large. I will say, before we close out and head off to some of the other amazing events here at the Eckerson event, that we have an initiative here at Crux called External Data University. External Data University is something that, if you can possibly do so, I would head over to our website, check out our blog, hit the subscribe box. We are putting out updates. We've got a ton of great educational content coming. We've got interviews with people from MSCI, from Schroders, from all these amazing suppliers, helping you understand how they think about data and how they are evolving the data that's become available. And also expert sessions with our internal data engineering team, where you can come and it's a no pitch environment. It's for you to come and learn. And we dig into a lot of these topics from a practical standpoint. How can we get your team up to speed so that they can get to work and spend 80% of their time on the high value activities and 20% of the time on some of this stuff? Let your team do what they do best. So thank you so much for joining us today. I am seeing some amazing comments here in the chat, and I've already got some amazing notes from people. If you haven't connected with me, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Chris Handy, and you'll find me there. You just type Chris Handy in the search box there. Let me know if what you thought about the presentation today. If there's anything in particular that you'd like for us to cover, we can cover it in a future session within External Data University. And if you do connect, make sure you let me know you came from the Eckerson event today, and I will send you a link to our External Data University LinkedIn newsletter. So come check us out. And Teddy has just put in the chat, please come see us in the virtual booth after this. I'll be there. You can ask me questions live, pick my brain. We've also, no pressure. We do have someone in our sales booth as well, Rudy, who's amazing. So if you have any interest in speaking with the Crux sales team, you can always head out there. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us today, and I will pass it off to our co-host so that we can get to some more content. I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you very much, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sterling.